YouTube was good. It's your boy Carlos Harris, aka the Medusa. Hey, if this is your first time tuning in, go ahead, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell every time I post up new content. Today's topic, right? This slavery, this slavery happened, right? And I actually already see that Jesus is Lord has already answered that question. Good for you. Something that we actually really agree upon for a change, right? Now, the only reason why I'm asking this question, and I've asked this question once before, right? And I'm not gonna say that I actually really ran into a buzzsaw when I actually really asked this question, but just know that there are people out there that truly honestly believe that slavery actually happened, right? And then for the most part, when you actually really try to go to explain why slavery couldn't have happened, right? Then they still they still would try to argue the point that slavery happened. Now, I guess the question that y'all probably answering or asking, okay, well, what does this have to do with anything as far as the election goes? Well, it has a whole lot to do with it because, just like I said, I was watching Dane Calloway last night, and and he was actually really talking about the election as far as like, okay, well, why the so-called black vote has been disconnected or whatever. And so, like a lot of this stuff, what he was talking about in there, like a lot of this stuff I knew, a lot of the stuff that I knew, some of the stuff I was like, oh, okay, now I know where they actually really got it from, right? But then, and again, like I said, a lot of this stuff, what Dane Calloway was talking about last night, I already knew, right? As far as like, the presidents and all that kind of stuff. But then I really, because this is stuff that I've actually really been looking into for quite some time around, right? You know, sorry about that. But the thing about it is this: a lot of people will say, or they used to say, that President Barack Obama was the first African American to actually really be president of the United States. Well, I beg to differ. And a lot of people that actually really know the real deal will actually really say the exact same thing that I'm actually really saying right now. Barack Obama was not the first black or African American president, right? And then I really didn't. And then this is why I actually really say this is why I say about this whole slavery thing that it actually like really didn't take place because that's a 90+ day boat ride from the continent of Africa to over here, what is now called North America or the United States of America, right? And put like this, it's all part of the plan, people. It's all part of the plan to actually really make you think, okay, for one, that if you black, then you African American. Like you can't be shit else, right? Africa is a continent, people. I said that last night, and I've said it in previous shows that Africa is a continent, not a country. There are a lot of countries in the continent or on the continent of Africa. Let's get that shit straight out. So, and even then, they got it wrong here. Because they were saying, okay, well, John Hanson, the guy that's on the back of a $2 bill, if you could actually really find a $2 bill right today, right? And then look back there, and he's right there. He was the first to ever do it. Matter of fact, a lot of people will say he was the actual like very first president, like succeeding motherfucking George Washington, right? But here's the deal, people. Here's why I say that slavery didn't happen. You know, because John Hanson, he was president from 1781 to 1783. And he died, excuse me, he died in 1783, right? Now, let's just do a little bit of math here, right? Slavery, according to what the history book says, right? Slavery was in 1619, right? He got elected in 1781. So that's 100+ years and change of slavery, because, and then you got to actually like really look at from the time that he was president until slavery ended, that's 104 years that you still had to go as far as like slavery, so-called slavery went. And for the most part, if indeed that the slave, the so-called slave, right, if they wasn't allowed to read and write, you know, and then slavery, like I say, when this guy was president, right, you still had 104 years to go before slavery, so-called slavery, would end. So somebody somewhere is lying, right? That's the question that you got to ask yourself, right? Because I'm just looking at it like this, right? If the slave was not able to read and write and all that kind of stuff, how he get to become president? And then if that don't get it for you, right? And I hope I'm spelling this guy's name, I'm pronouncing this man's name right. Hiram or Hiram Revels, right? 1870, right? Again, slavery ended in 1865. 5 years later, he's the first black congressman. Again, right? You gotta ask yourself, okay, if the slave, so-called slave, was not able to read anything, write anything, right? Then how did he become to hold that position, that high position in the country at that time? If indeed slavery happened, right? See, that's the question which you got to ask yourself. So, and then here's something else too, right? So here's the deal. If and just know, like a lot of elections were going on back then, right? So in order, put like this. So in order to get the so-called black vote, right? It's actually really gonna mean one or two things. Either that you taught all of your slaves how to read and write, count to 10, and actually really be like, give these, give the slaves, right, a history of the country. And then you also got to be like, okay, well, here's who's running for president. Or say, let's say, these two people here, they running for president. This is what this person feel about certain things. This is what this person feel about certain things, right? On why they should be the next president of the United States. But just like I say, if you're a slave, just like I'm saying, if you're a slave and you came out from Africa you don't know the language, just like say you talking, you saying one thing, they saying one thing, ain't that, you know, the communication levels are at an all-time low. Matter of fact, everybody or the most of the world today, right, speaks English. But even then, right, the English or the communication level or levels, right, can actually really be at an all-time low because everybody, for the most part, is going to view things differently than say what you do or what the next individual does, right? And then here comes the debate, right? And if it's real, and if it get real tough, then some fisticuffs might be involved, right? But like I said, you got to ask yourself the question. You got to ask yourself this all-important question, right? If indeed slavery did indeed happen, right? And how come these two individuals that I just mentioned earlier, how are they actually really able to hold the positions in office that they did, right? And just for the simple fact, right? If you actually really trying to get the black vote, the so-called black vote, right? Then that means that you're gonna have to do a little bit of teaching, right? Because it's just for the simple fact they already don't think nothing about you. Now they want you to go vote, right? Or it could be just for the simple fact, well, you know what? I'm not going to teach this motherfucker nothing, right? Could, you know, because, you know, back then it could have been something just as simple. Well, shit, if you actually really stop and think about it now, it's still just as something, it's just as simple as saying, hey, look, put an X here or put an X here. Don't worry about what the fuck they do. Just put either an X right here or X right here. It's the same shit that is going on right today, right? Because here's the deal: how a lot of motherfuckers, right? And I know I said this, right? You know, how many people actually really know the real deal about these two people that's actually running for president, right? God damn it, man! If I want to fucking call. So the thing about, so here's the deal, people, right? You really gotta be where, like, okay, well, do I really know this individual? I really gotta actually go out here and do some research on this person. And then so when you do research, right? Is it something that's actually really legitimate, right? Because we already know his books can be and have been altered, and to actually really having them believe what they want you to believe, right? So for the most part, you're already at a disadvantage when it actually really comes to doing certain types of research, right? But like I say, I will always present the case that, okay, slavery didn't happen. Your vote is never actually really going to count for a goddamn thing. Just because, for one, how many of y'all actually really know who the fuck you're voting for? They're like I said, this is no different than what it was 100 years ago, right? When so-called slavery was going on. So, and I did a show a while back, and I asked the question, okay, well, how much progress have we had? I think I said, how much progress have we had since the 1960s? And I actually really just said, ain't been no progress. It really hasn't. Because for the most part, we still sitting up here right today hollering about, oh, we still having the first, this, that, and the third. As far as like it, you know, as far as towards so-called black folks, so-called Latinos, Chinese, Japanese, whatever the case may be, right? We still having first of that. Now, if they sit up here telling us, oh, we done came a long way, why the fuck are we still having first then? If we, just like I said, I mean, let's be reasonable here. Let's really be reasonable here. So, just like I say, for those of y'all that's actually really gonna go vote here in a couple of weeks, I really wish the hell that you wouldn't, because your vote ain't gonna count worth a damn no way, right? Just like what I said last night and the night previous, right? You know, they're gonna push, you know, they're gonna get the best person possible to push the product. And then once everything is all said and done, win or lose, right? They ain't gonna have shit else to do with you after November 4th or November 3rd, whatever fuck election day is on, right? Just you know, just know that shit they ain't gonna want shit else from you once the doggone election is over with. So all that stuff, like what Ice Cube said with the contract and all that kind of stuff. So again, people, why the fuck? And you know, see, that's another thing too. What I never understood. Well, I understand it, right? I might not overstand it, right? But I understand it because, you know, they just feel like, okay, well, hey, this is how we keep track of shit, right? I mean, but last time I checked, we all human beings here. So why you know, just know that, hey, look, I look like you regardless of color, right? I can, and 9 times out of 10, I probably can do the exact same shit as you, regardless of color. So we you know, we got to get out of this doggone mindset that I'm not going to do this or you can't do it because of a particular color. Which brings me to my next point. I was watching Hannibal and Monty last night, and they were talking about this one guy, the pencil nose pixie or whatever. And apparently, you know, it was a show that was previous, right? And I guess the whole thing about black privilege, white privilege, you know, came up. And for the most part, I guess it actually really got a little heated. So the pencil nose pixie guy, he run off, right? And then they actually really showed like this huge response that he actually really gave, right? And you know, it was like, for the most part, the motherfucker probably could have wrote a book about the response that he gave. But the whole thing about it though is that, you know, everybody, well, I'm not gonna say everybody, right? But you know, it's amazing. It's motherfucking amazing to me that here in this day and time that you get a lot of people are still offended by the word nigger. It is no, you know, it's almost like that one episode that Dave Chappelle did on the Def Comedy Jam, right? And he just asked the question: who decided that the word nigger would make black people mad for the rest of history? And I mean, and for the most part, yeah, everybody in the audience laughed, right? But then, you know, he asked another question prior to that, he said, how many of y'all in the audience tonight will get angry if somebody other than a black person call you nigga, right? And everybody in that motherfucking clap. Then he asked the other question. Who decided the word nigga will make black people mad for the rest of history? And it's just for the simple fact, I know I've talked about this on plenty of my shows on this motherfucking channel. Just like with the whole Papa John's deal. Word got out that he called somebody nigga. Then here come all of the black folks that, oh, well, I ain't gonna buy no more pizza from Papa John's because he called somebody a nigga. And then they was about ready to fire that one news lady because of what the fuck they thought she said, right? But my thing is this: all of this shit that's going on, talking about so-called white privilege, so-called black privilege. I'm black. I can call me and people that look like me. We can call each other nigga all goddamn day long. But the first time that somebody so-called white do it, oh, it's a problem. Well, goddamn it, it should be a problem when somebody that's the same color as you is calling you a nigga, right? How is it gonna be good in one aspect and bad in the other? Just like I say, very seldom do I actually really agree with certain people or certain YouTubers, but for the most part, I really gotta be in agreement with G-Man on this one, right? Not for the simple fact that it's a racial slur, right? Or it was at one time thought as a racial slur. Me personally, the word nigga doesn't bother me because for the most part, I never was no nigga to begin with, right? I didn't come over here on no goddamn boat, and neither did none of my family members, right? Not to say that, oh, just because you came over here on a boat, it's okay to call me nigga. No, it ain't never been good to call me nigga, right? And it's just for the simple fact, the word doesn't bother me. You can call me nigga all goddamn day long. I laugh in the face of ignorance, right? If I want to go get a good laugh, shit, you know, I already know who the fuck to go to. Some old ignorant ass bastard that's gonna look at me and say, hey, nigga, and I ain't gonna do never laugh, right? Because the first time that I actually really react in a negative way, then guess what? I'm that nigga that he was talking about, right? And see, and that's what, now, if you are proud of being a nigga, then again, it just goes to show you how much of progress that we as a people have accomplished. I mean, if you're gonna put like this, somewhere somebody said that all men are created equal. But for the most part, we all know that, we all actually really know that to not to be true, right? Everybody's not created equal, right? I mean, you may have the exact amount of bones, right? But you can have tall bones, short bones. You can have, which for the most part, it dictates, yeah, you either gonna be short or tall. You got skinny people, you got fat people, right? So the whole, so for the whole concept of people actually really being created equal, we throw that shit out the window, right? But just because, okay, slavery happened in a different way, not in the way that people saying it did. Okay, you know what? I give you that much. I give you that much. You know, so but then again, here's something else for you. 27 blog. and I like the flag, by the way. But here's something else, right? It's also all about how the person or the group of people interpret it, right? Because some people can actually really be like, okay, they're actually really satisfied in how they do things, how stuff is actually really set up, right? And then once I put like this, the first time that you actually really take away a person's joy, then yeah, you in slavery, right? But if a motherfucker is actually really happy about life, regardless of what the fuck may be going on, you can't not enslave a person or a group of people with that type of mindset, right? And and then like I said, all of this shit, motherfucker talk about white privilege, black privilege, right? Ain't no such animal. I just proved it to you with motherfucking John Hanson and motherfucking Haram Nevels, and this was going on during the time frame when slavery supposedly had happened. So where's the white privilege? Where's the black privilege? Right? The only privilege that anybody has is that, okay, am I better fit? Who's gonna make the better fit to actually really do the job? Right? Certain jobs requires a particular type of person, right? Yeah, you might could do the job, right? But if the job has to be done in a timely manner, right? Because I look at it like this, right? Let's look at it like this, right? If I can run a mile in 6 minutes and 30 seconds, right? And then here comes somebody else that can run that exact same mile faster than me, right? Let's just say that they can actually really run the mile in 6 minutes. And who the fuck you think they're gonna go to? The motherfucker that actually really can do the mile in 6 minutes. Not to say that I couldn't do it, I just couldn't do it as fast as he could. Right? So ain't no privilege there. That's just like, that's the only type of privilege. Not for the simple fact that it was color-based. Right? It's just that, hey, look, this guy or this woman is more proficient of what the job is actually really required to do. Right? Now, a lot of motherfuckers say, oh, but that's discrimination. No, the fuck it ain't neither. People have, I swear, a lot of people have the wrong idea of what discrimination is, privilege, regardless of color. Because here's the deal. I done told y'all this plenty of times, right? Y'all want to holler about black privilege, white privilege, right? Well, what the fuck is this? That's black, right? Look at my hand, right? But you want to call me black though, right? So the shit that you holler don't even exist, right? And then here's something else. Just hold on. Here's something else. Look at this. This is a white sheet of paper, right? Now, if I had somebody in here that is so-called white and had them put their hand across that, this shit don't match. So where's your goddamn privilege? Right? And then you also gotta look at it like this. The only color, listen, the only color that should matter, well, no color should matter, right? But to be perfectly honest, a true motherfucker will actually tell you, hey, the only two colors that actually really matter are green and white, and it says United States of America across the top of it. And then even then, that shit is bullshit because just like the other day, if you watch the motherfucking show that I did about the goddamn Federal Reserve on how this shit is actually really playing out, you know that them two colors ain't worth a damn neither. So for all of this bullshit, talking about white privilege this, white privilege that, talking about motherfucking slavery happened. If it happened, how did that motherfucker get to become president? When the slave couldn't read. How did Harriet Tubman, right? If indeed she was even actually a real person, right? How was she actually really able to conduct the train in a subway, but you motherfuckers want to call it the Underground Railroad? See, I mean, see how that shit work? See how that shit work? So all I'm saying is this. Do not always believe what these motherfuckers telling you. Go back and do the goddamn research and ask yourself, were we already over here or did we come over here on the boat? And if we did come on the boat, right, how many of us actually really survived? If any. And then you also got to, and then ask yourself, okay, now we over here, right? I'm speaking a language, you speaking a language, we both can't understand each other, right? But you want me to go vote for a motherfucker. How that work? Like really? You can, but then again, you can ask the same question today, right? We talking a different language, right? But you want me to go vote for your motherfucking ass, right? And just for the simple fact, the 1965 Civil Rights Voting Act, right? Why, put like this, why does a right like that have to be put on paper? Just get up and kill your ass and go vote. Well, a lot of y'all just looking at, oh, well, you know, at least we can vote. It's on paper. A paper that expires every so once in a while. Got it. Got it. Fuck games as usual. Like what I always said, y'all gonna get enough of listening to what these motherfuckers tell y'all. Like plain and simple. So with that being said, tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dad, tell Big Bertha, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your pawpaw, motherfucker next door, cross street, round the corner. Paulus Harris, aka the Medusa. And I'm gonna holler at y'all